I think Mississippi State's certainly a team that everybody should be talking about as a potential Final Four team, a team that has obviously proven they can beat great teams. And for us to have to go on the road and face them, really good chance for us to see if we're as far along as we think we are.
Coach, you have some pretty recent experience with Mississippi State. What does it take to compete with a team like them and to beat a team like them?
You've got to be as close to perfect as you can be. They can expose you on both ends of the floor. They're not 1, 2, or even 3-dimensional. They can win a lot of different ways, and I think that's what they've built down there. Is you can't beat them with just your option A. You've got to have a plan, and you've got to play extremely well. Then I think they've also built one of the top 5 or 10 fan bases in the country, making it an incredibly difficult atmosphere to try to be perfect in. So it's a good measuring stick for us, and I want our kids to see it and experience it, and I want us to be as ready as we possibly can. But it's certainly a testament to what they've done and what Vic's done since he's been there, the team he's built, and the way the community's rallied around him.
To get it really going at home, I believe you're undefeated, but on the road you've tended to struggle. How do you transition the performances from home to the road?
I wish we could pack up the 1,500 to 2,000 people that have been here for us and take them down there, but I know that's not realistic. We've had 7 road trips, counting the 2 games down there on the neutral side. What are we? Is that right, Jerry? Is it 6? It's 6, sorry. 6. We've tried some different things technically, tactically, with the way we travel, how time we go to the gym, what time we eat. I think it's just a little bit of a product of you're not in your comfortable environment. So I don't think we do anything. I don't think we get too drastic with our style of play change or what we do. I just think we need to practice it together more. I'm not sure 6 times is enough to say I really even know what we need to do. Every team's different. And just because we've got experience with other teams on the road, we hadn't found the exact buttons to push. But our road opponents have been pretty good opponents. We hadn't had too many on the road that we went in as a favorite in. And obviously in this case, we won't be a favorite again.
Mike, you guys are about at the halfway point of the season. Where do you feel like the team has made the biggest strides so far?
I just think their ability to carry over what we're doing in practice onto the game floor. There early in the year, we had to really practice long and hard at things to have some carryover. I think some of those habits that we've practiced now, limited amounts, have carried over to games. They've become very good at executing specific game plans rather than just do what we've constantly done. We can change some things. We can make some tweaks during timeouts, and they've really done a good job with that. They identified their roles pretty well early, but they have really settled into them, and everybody's very comfortable with doing what they need to do. I haven't had any meetings about, hey, Coach, I don't think I'm being utilized the right way. And I think that's a real testament to that group of kids. I'm proud of that. I'm also pleasantly surprised to look up at the RPI today and see we're in the top 50. We're at 49 in the RPI, and that's just a good thing. So that's been a surprise to me. I wasn't sure with our schedule and the challenges that we faced that we could be at that point that quick. Now, you go to Mississippi State, win or lose, you're going to go up in the RPI. That's the mathematics of it. So we need to continue to not let the results drive us, but I do think you have to step back and stop and celebrate it a little bit. I did that with the team today. Got them together and said, hey, this is what it feels like to be in the top 50 of the RPI, and I think they need to be aware of that and celebrate some small victories. It certainly doesn't do anything for us in the big picture. ESPN came out with their first bracketology today, and Charlie Cream does a great job of predicting things as early as he can, and we were listed in the first 4 out of the NCAA tournament. We celebrated that. And I know a lot of coaches will get up here in their press conferences and tell you, well, that doesn't mean anything unless it's the end of the year. And while they're right, I think you miss an opportunity to let your kids have a small victory. And we celebrated for about 2.2 minutes, and then we went back to work with the realization that a kid in Tierra McGowan maybe having the most improved player in the country, the most improved statistical season of anybody in a long time, putting up the numbers she has. And, they've got an All-American in Vivian's, and Morgan Williams, probably the most popular player in America after hitting the shot last year. And they've got depth. And I don't care what Vic says. I was the first coach to offer Blair Schaefer a scholarship. She scored 61 in a fifth grade game up here one night, and Vic told me about it. And I said, I don't know where I'll be coaching when you're old enough to be playing, but I've offered you a scholarship. So they're very hard to guard, and I think those challenges are going to be fun to try to face.
Mike, by the same token, is there an area or some areas that you thought, man, I really thought we'd be farther along here, than we are?
Not really. If you were going to ask me to come up with one thing, I would have told you I thought we would not be turning it over the last 3 or 4 games like we did. We got off to a really good start with value in the ball and being really careful with it. And in the last 2 or 3 games, we've gotten a little bit loose with it. And I think part of that is that, obviously the athleticism of the SEC steps up a little bit. Those passing lanes close a little faster. The hands in your face are a little bit bigger. So I understand that. But I really had hoped that some of that carryover from non-conference would have helped us against Arizona State. I treated the Arizona State like an SEC game, and we didn't perform well at all there. But we didn't dwell on it. I was proud of the group for doing that. But I would tell you that, an area of value in the ball and taking care of it a little bit, I'd hoped we'd be a little further along with our guards.
I was going to ask you actually about that Arizona State game. Is that one that you move on from, or what can you learn from that as the last big road test?
I think as coaches we learned a lot from it, but I flushed it with the players. It's the only game all year they didn't get film of. Every team's got that clunker in them. We use our men's team in here a lot. Positively. We use the crowd that Bud Walton created for them the other night. But, we all have clunkers. I think Mike Anderson would tell you that Houston game was a clunker. We have them. That one was ours. It was probably, trying to put that team to that test right before Christmas for us as coaches, probably not what we should have done either. But I'll take the blame for that one. But I don't think you beat them up too badly over it. I think as coaches we learned that they're kids. They're a group of kids, and trying to focus on the finishing up finals and traveling right before the holidays, it can take its toll on you. But I'm telling you, Arizona State's we've taken a lot of teams in the past down there, even back to our days at Xavier. That's a hard place to win. We did, though. We did flush it. We didn't watch any film whatsoever on it.
What do you think has been the biggest struggle with translating what you do here onto the road?
I just think the preparation's different. The way you come in, the way you treat the day, it's hard to lay around the hotel. It really is. It's hard to get on the bus and come back and forth, and you're not eating the meal you're normally used to. For me, my preparation's a little bit different, and I know theirs is too. You just don't have your people around you. And in our the way we do it, the way we treat our people are really important to us. And we don't have everybody around us. So we've got to learn to be there for each other better. And that's something we will keep tweaking and working. But I don't think our play has been that much different. We hadn't shot it as well. And like I've said before, we're not great shooters anyway. Sorry. So when you drop that down, we're shooting under 30% from the three, and I think on the road it's like 24 or 25, and that's a significant difference for us. So we'll keep working at it.
Coach, you've mentioned that you don't believe anybody's really giving you a chance in this game outside of your team. How can you use that to your advantage?
Just keep talking about it. I mean, I think if you don't bring it up, some kids don't know. I had to explain what the RPI was to about 5 of our upperclassmen the other day. And you assume they know that, but they didn't. I mean, we're talking upperclassmen, player, and I'm not going to call them out by name, but kids you would have thought knew what RPI meant. They were like, is that good or bad? Do you want to have the high number or the low number? I was like, no, it's not golf, And so I think just sometimes the assumption that they're not aware of that. Blissful naivety is okay with me, but you cannot fool kids and dogs. That was a Pawpaw Neighbors line of mine growing up. There's two groups you can't fill, is kids and dogs. So I'm not going to try to tell these kids that Tierra McGowan is not going to be hard to move off the block. I have to be honest with them. If I'm honest with these kids, I think that builds up credibility, and it doesn't. I don't have to constantly be trying to create drama to motivate them. Our team is very driven, though. I will say this to y'all because we do talk about it. They are very driven, not that we were picked last, but just that they don't feel like we're the last place team in the SEC. They just don't feel that way. They don't practice that way. They don't carry themselves that way. So I think they've really got a desire to prove that they're not that. And if that means, obviously you beat Mississippi State, I think everybody would be off the bandwagon that we're the worst team in the SEC. But I think how we play against the top is what we're still going to be judged by. Depending on no matter what our record is, how do you do against these top teams, a team that's got Final Four potential? In our league, that's the standard. You look at it, what's happening in the football playoffs. We got the two teams playing for the national championship again. That's the standard. It does just mean more, and that's not just a slogan. I love the slogan before, but now that you're in and back in and around it after being gone from it a while, it is what makes you get up in the morning with your feet running, because if not, you're going to get left behind. So I think talking to our kids about it's very, very important, keeping it in the forefront of their mind, and then let them use it individually to inspire them. I don't think it's my job as a coach to inspire them beyond that, but I think it is my job as their head coach and their leader to be honest with them and make sure they're aware of the facts.
So obviously, outside of playing a perfect all-around game, are there any specific matchups or phases of this game that you've kind of pinpointed as this is a chance here?
I do. We had a great practice today. We had a good practice team out there, and we did our best. We're lucky we have a male practice team that can really simulate. We got a big kid that can simulate Tierra, because we don't have anybody on our team tall enough, but we couldn't. If we did, we couldn't guard each other. So we've got a great practice player that's able to come out and simulate that for us. We're going to be who we are offensively, but we're going to try some things defensively. There'll be somebody wide open every possession to start the game at Mississippi State. Wide open. And I'm not going to tell you which one it's going to be. Vic will figure it out. He's smart enough. And we may rotate that person around, but when you do have to play, and going in that you've got to play close to perfect as you can, I think you have to take some chances like that. So we'll be tactical. We'll be strategic defensively, and we'll be who we are offensively. But I do think there's some areas that if we could get them away from what they like to do, and see if they can win with option B or C, and try to take away option A. So, thanks for coming.